Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships. If you're new to the channel, please join us and hit that subscribe button. And please join and also listen to my podcast. If you'd like to get more information, the link is in the video notes. And please listen, Navigating Narcissism. And if you like it, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Here's the question of the day for today's video. What happens when you loan a narcissist money? So I'd like you all to reflect on that question. Maybe you've even done it. What happens when you loan a narcissist money? What's your guess? Drop it in the comments. I'm guessing, because I'm doing this now, I can't see your comments, is most of you said you ain't going to get it back. And that's a good bet. Why? Because narcissistic people actually kind of feel entitled to your money. Interestingly, people who are narcissistic have enough of a filter to not say, hey, I'm great, so you should give me money, but they're probably thinking it. Narcissistic personality is sort of associated with shady, shifty, deceitful, gaslighty, and impulsive behavior. So again, all of that means that not only do you not get your money back, but also that you may be so gaslighted and manipulated that by the time that they are done with you, you may even think that they don't really owe it back to you and that maybe they did you a favor by letting you loan them money. It's really confusing. Well, since narcissistic folks are such hotshots, why would they even need to borrow money? Well, in some cases, it's realistic. They just may not have any. And because appearances are so important to them, most of them, except for the self-righteous ones who that's their own kind of animal. Most narcissistic folks are relatively impulsive with money and will spend it to get validation. They'll spend it on how they look. They'll spend it on other people. They'll want to look like they have a certain lifestyle. And as a result, they may simply borrow money to supplement what little money they have to just look better. They may also borrow money in the name of grandiosity, an idea they want to get off the ground, some deal or some great business that they want to get everyone into, that sort of thing. Just as a sidebar, self-righteous narcissistic folks are the ones who are a little bit funny about money. They're really rigid about money. They probably won't ask you for any. They will criticize how you spend your own money. They won't ever use their money to help someone else. They will use money to shame and control others. So they kind of do money in a different way. So the other question may be, does it bring up shame for narcissistic people to borrow money? Probably yes, but that happens at an almost unconscious level. And they're really masterful at coming up with rationalizations and to engage in denial. Things like, well, nobody has ever paid me what I'm worth. So they may actually feel entitled to people giving them money. But at the core of it, if the narcissistic person needs the money, it will bring up shame for them to ask you. And if in fact you are actually able to loan them the money, they may actually also resent you for being able to do so and resent the dependency on you that it raises. So they will project that shame on you and hate you even though you're bailing them out. It gets really messy. A narcissistic person may also try something slick, like borrowing some money from you, and then they pay it back. Then they'll borrow a little more, maybe a little more, and they'll pay it back. They may slowly increase the amounts. It's like a grooming process, and pay you back. And if you don't know their financial situation well, and they seem to be portraying a decent lifestyle, you might actually become confident, because they already have paid you back in the past, that they'll keep paying you back. And when they don't pay you back and you ask them about it, they'll gaslight you and say, oh, what's wrong? Don't you trust me? I've paid you back in the past. Of course I'm going to pay you back. And they'll make it really aversive for you to ask about the money. Every time you bring it up, they'll argue with you. They'll shame you. They'll call you petty. They'll call you miserly or other names. Or they'll just give you the runaround. And this behavior may leave you questioning yourself and also disincentivize you from having the conversation with them. And you just may not want to keep asking them because the conversations are so convoluted and you just simply get exhausted. The way a narcissistic person gets money from you may not even be a direct ask. It may be a version of backdoor borrowing. They might say something like, I forgot my credit card. Can you front me? My ATM card isn't working, my Venmo isn't working, my PayPal isn't working. Can you just cover me? I'll obviously pay you back so it's not a loan. But then you may find yourself having to ask for the money back. They'll claim like, oh, I forgot about it. And if you're someone who's conflict or request averse and don't like asking these things, this may start getting really uncomfortable for you. And in fact, when they first ask you to front them, and if you were to ask something like, hey, are you going to pay me back? They may even contemptuously sniff at you and say, please, of course I'm going to pay you back. Who do you think I am? Do you think I'm some kind of freeloader? And then you may feel bad for suggesting otherwise. So it all becomes a very twisted manipulation. Getting into any kind of financial setup with a narcissistic person is always going to be a mess. Money has too much surplus meaning for them, so it will always end up badly. But it's not always the straight up loan as much as it is the backdoor ask that creates the problems. Or even the victimized ask where they say, everything in my life is going wrong. And then you, being the empathic soul you are, might just give them money. Usual guidelines on any money lending to anyone, which is basically never expect money you lend back. So don't give any amount of money you can't afford to lose. Lie if you have to, but be prepared to lose it, especially when you loan money to a narcissistic person. And just as a sort of final follow-up question, you may be wondering, what if you try to borrow money from them? All I can say is holy heaven. They may pull out some kind of 50% loan shark agreement, or they may just say no, or they may humiliate and degrade you about why you need it, or even make gross suggestions on how you can pay it back to them. If they have it and you need it, to be in that disempowered a position, you would probably do better with a predatory lender or credit card borrowing fees than to pay the psychological interest rate of borrowing it from them. If it's a self-righteous narcissistic person you're trying to get the money from, they are so miserly that they will lecture you first, shame you and humiliate you, and then still not give you the money. Money and narcissistic people never mix when it comes to any form of relationship. Don't borrow, don't lend, and don't expect it to end well. The interest rate on borrowed money, whenever narcissistic people are involved, is basically an annual percentage rate on your soul. Keep that in mind, and thanks again.